Welcome! In this video, we're diving into one of the most influential ethical theories in Western philosophy, Aristotle virtue ethics.
Aristotle, born in 384 BC in Stagira, Greece, was a prominent ancient Greek philosopher, student of Plato, and teacher of Alexander the Great. Aristotle's works cover diverse subjects, including ethics, logic, metaphysics, politics, and natural sciences. Aristotle's contributions to biology are notable. His Historia Animalium made him a pioneer in observational biology. He classified animals based on their characteristics, paving the way for modern taxonomy. In politics, he emphasized the importance of a balanced government, proposing three forms of it: the monarchy, aristocracy, and polity. He also explored the concept of virtue ethics, believing that people should cultivate good habits for a virtuous life.
What is Aristotle's virtue ethics? In the quest for a fulfilling life, Aristotle's virtue ethics serves as a timeless guide, offering insights that resonate across generations. Virtue, Aristotle teaches us, is the foundation of a life well lived, guiding principle that transcends cultural boundaries and societal norms. It encompasses both intellectual virtues, fostering critical thinking, and moral virtues, guiding ethical behavior and shaping individuals into pillars of their communities. These virtues are forged in a crucible of the soul, where our passion and faculties intersect, intertwining to sculpt the essence of our being. Character, shaped by our choices, define our response to life challenges, echoing Aristotle's belief in the transformation our conscious decision-making. Aristotle's telos philosophy reveals that everything from man-made to natural object has a purpose, a divine intention woven into the fabric of existence. For humans, happiness is the ultimate telos, a fulfillment achieved through virtuous living, a harmonious alignment with the cosmic order. Happiness, Aristotle proclaims, is attained through balance and virtue, echoing through the annals of time and the pinnacle of human endeavor. In the labyrinth of existence, Aristotle's virtue ethics illuminates the path to the flourishing life, guiding us towards the enlightenment and fulfillment. Virtue ethics is an approach to ethics that focuses on the virtuous or moral character or the individual rather than rules or consequences. Its roots go back to ancient Greece, particularly to Aristotle. What makes a good person?
Is it what we do or do we Aristotle, over 2,000 years ago, asked questions that still matters today. What does it mean to live a good life? His answer: it's not about rules or results. It's about becoming a good person, someone who lives with excellence and purpose.
Let's begin with the foundation. Aristotle Nicomachean Ethics. Nicomachean Ethics is normally given to Aristotle's best-known work on ethics, in which the work defined Aristotelian ethics. It consists of 10 books originally separated scroll, and it's understood to be based on notes from his lecture and Lyceum. Advances an understanding of ethics known as virtue of ethics, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Aristotle Nicomachean Ethics, his son Nicomachus. This is a work compilation of Aristotle's lecture notes on ethics. In it, he outlines a practical philosophy aimed at achieving the good life or eudaimonia.
The human good, according to Aristotle, is eudaimonia, often translated as happiness and flourishing. It is the highest good and the ultimate aim of human life. Eudaimonia is not just pleasure or wealth, but living well through rational activity in accordance with virtue over complete life. For example, imagine a doctor who uses her skills not just to earn money, but to care deeply for her patients, improve public health, and make ethical choices. Her life reflects eudaimonia, a fulfilled, virtuous life aimed the good life. A student who uses reason to make ethical choices, balances discipline with kindness, and seeks knowledge not for praise but for self-betterment is fulfilling the human function. By developing virtues like courage, honesty, and wisdom, they live excellently. The function argument. Aristotle argues that to discover the human good, we must understand the function of human being. Just as the function of a knife is to cut well, the function of a human is to reason well and live in accordance with that reason.
This is the concept of telos. In Greek, telos means end, purpose, or goal.
Aristotle believed that the goal of human life is to reach eudaimonia, a state of fulfillment and moral excellence. Virtue is cultivated through habit and practical wisdom, known as promises.
Aristotle believed that everything in nature has a telos, a final cause or purpose it aims to fulfill. For humans, this telos is eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing or happiness.
Think of a knife. Its telos is to cut. A good knife is one that cuts well. Similarly, a good human life is one that fulfills its telos through rational activity and virtue. In Aristotle terms, a clock is made for a specific purpose. Its telos is to tell time accurately. So, a good clock is one that tells time precisely and reliably. A bad clock is one that runs slow, fast, or stops working. It fails to fulfill its telos. This helps explain Aristotle's broader idea. To understand what something is, we have to understand what it's for. And just like a good clock fulfills its purpose by telling time well, a good human fulfills their purpose by living rationally and virtuously.
For example, in Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, he emphasizes that virtue is not something we're born with, but something we must develop through habit. Take courage. For example, a person becomes courageous not by avoiding fear entirely or acting recklessly, but by repeatedly choosing to face fear in a rational and balanced way. Through consistent practice, they cultivate courage as a stable character trait. This is what Aristotle means when he says, virtue is developed through action.
Let's talk about the goal of ethics.
Goal of ethics. Aristotle believed that ethics is a practical ethics. We are not studying in order to know what virtue is, but to become good, for otherwise there would be no profit in it.
For Aristotle, ethics isn't about abstract rules, it's about practical living. The goal of ethics is to help individuals achieve eudaimonia by cultivating the right character and making virtuous choices. Ethics then becomes a guidebook for how to live well. Aristotle argued that to reach our highest potential, we must act in accordance with our rational nature and develop virtues through experience and reasoning. Example, consider someone facing a moral decision whether to tell a painful truth or lie to spur someone's feelings. Aristotle's ethics would encourage finding the virtuous mean, which we'll explain more in a moment.
Example, first, honesty. Always tell the truth and be sincere, even when lying might seem easier. Second, courage. Face fears and challenge bravely, without running away or giving up. Third, compassion. Show kindness and care for others, especially when they are suffering. Fourth, loyalty.
Be faithful and supportive to friends, family, or community.
Virtue ethics. Virtue ethics claims that it is important to not only do the right thing, but also to have the correct disposition, motivation, and emotion in being good and doing right. Virtue ethics is not only about actions, but having a moral character, one which feels the right thing at the right time, and acts accordingly. Practice virtues don't come but in, they must be practiced again and again. Virtues of character are dispositions to act in certain ways in response to similar situations. Each of the virtues is a state of being that naturally seeks its mean. Virtuous habit action is always an intermediate state between the opposite basis of excess and efficiency.
Nature of ethics, according to Aristotle. Unlike Plato, who focused on abstract forms, Aristotle believed ethics is grounded in real-life experience. Ethics is not a science with strict formulas. Rather, it's a practical discipline like navigation. Each situation may require a different response depending on the context. Also, ethics is deeply connected to human function. Aristotle famously wrote, "The function of man is an activity of soul in accordance with reason." So, ethics is about using our unique human capacity, reason, to guide our actions toward good. Ethics is not just knowing the good, but doing the good.
Another example of ethics. The nature of ethics is reflected in debates about environmental responsibility, such as choosing sustainable products, because ethics involves making decisions that consider the well-being of other and future generations. Another example of the nature of ethics lies in our ability. The nature of ethics is finding itself. The nature of ethics lies in our ability to evaluate human actions as right or wrong based on values such as justice, honesty, and compassion. For example, when someone chooses to tell the truth in a difficult situation, even at personal cost, we recognize that as ethical. Why? Because it upholds the principle of honesty, which helps build trust, a key component of moral relationship in any society.
Aristotle's view, which ties the points about the good life, purpose, and the aim of all human action. What is our purpose as human beings? According to Aristotle, everything in nature has a purpose, a built-in end or goal it strives toward. For a knife, its purpose is to cut, for a seed to become a tree. For human beings, our telos is to live a life in accordance with reason, because reason is our unique function, what distinguishes us from animals and plants. What is the good in human life? Aristotle says the good is the aim of every action. Nicomachean Ethics book says, every art and every inquiry, and similarly every action and pursuit, is taught to aim at some good. For example, medicine aims at health, strategy aims at victory, economics aims at wealth. But what is the ultimate good? The one that is an end in itself, not just a means to something else. Aristotle calls this eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, flourishing, or the good life. It is the final end, the thing we want for its own sake, and everything else we want is to help us get it. So, what is the good life? The good life is a life of virtuous activity in accordance with reason. It means developing and living according to virtues like courage, justice, wisdom, throughout the full life. Pleasure, wealth, and honor may be part of it, but they are not enough on their own. The truly good life is one where we fulfill our human function by reasoning and living virtuously, and thus realize our telos. So now, let's talk about the four cardinal virtues. First, prudence, practical wisdom, meaning making wise decisions based on reason and foresight. Example 1. A driver slows down in heavy rain to avoid accidents, even if they're running late. Example 2. A teenager chooses to study for exams instead of going out with friends, knowing that education will benefit them long term. Example 3. A leader gathers advice from experts before making an important decision for their team. Next is temperance, self-control or moderation, meaning moderating desires and impulses. Example 1. A person sticks to a healthy diet even when tempted by junk food. Example 2. Someone chooses to walk away from an argument to avoid saying something hurtful. Example 3. A gamer limits screen time to make sure it doesn't interfere with school or work. The next one is courage, fortitude or bravery, meaning facing fear, danger, or adversity with strength. Example 1. A student stands up for a classmate being bullied even if it's unpopular. Example 2. A firefighter runs into a burning building to save someone. Example 3. A person admits a mistake at work instead of hiding it, knowing it might lead to consequences. Last one is justice, fairness or giving others their due, meaning treating others fairly and respecting their rights. Example 1. A teacher gives equal attention to all students, not just the high achievers. Example 2. A judge listens to both sides of a case before making a decision. Example 3. A friend apologizes and makes amends after realizing they've hurt someone's feelings.
Now, we get to one of the most well-known ideas, the golden mean. Aristotle argued that virtue lies between two extremes, excess and deficiency. For example, generosity lies between wastefulness and stinginess. This mean is not the same for everyone. It depends on the person and the situation. Virtue as habit. Aristotle emphasized that virtues are not innate. They are habits developed through practice, just as you become a musician by playing music.
You know, Aristotle believed that virtue is all about balance, what he called the golden mean. Take confidence, for example. It's not about being arrogant and acting like you know everything, but it's also not about shrinking back and doubting yourself all the time. The sweet spot, that's real confidence. It's when you speak up with clarity, stay open to feedback, and trust your preparation without showing off. That's the kind of balanced character Aristotle was talking about.
Let's take the virtue of confidence. According to Aristotle's golden mean, true confidence lies between the extremes of arrogance and insecurity. For example, imagine a student giving a presentation. If they are arrogant, they may ignore feedback, speak over others, or assume they always right. This is an excess. On the other hand, if they are insecure, they may avoid speaking up altogether or doubt their abilities, even when they are well prepared. This is a deficiency. The golden mean is found when the student
speaks clearly, listens to others, accepts feedback, and believes in their work without boasting or withdrawing. That balance, confidence, reflects a virtuous character developed through self-awareness and practice. Another example of the golden mean. A leader demonstrating the golden mean might balance generosity and thrift by donating to a cause without being wasteful, avoiding both stinginess and impotence. You know, Aristotle believed that virtue is all about balance. What he called the golden mean. Take confidence, for example. It's not about being arrogant and acting like you know everything, but it's also not about shrinking back and doubting yourself all the time. The sweet spot, that's real confidence. It's when you speak up with clarity, stay open to feedback, and trust your inspiration without showing off. That's the kind of balance character Aristotle was talking about. To achieve a good life, one must act in moderation, cultivating his or her virtues, habits that lies in the mean and temptation. The earliest representation of this idea in the cultures is probably in the mythology, Cretan's tale of Daedalus and Icarus. Daedalus, a famous artist of his time, built feathered wigs for himself and his son so that they might escape the clutches of King Minos. Daedalus warns his beloved son, whom he loved so much, to fly the middle course between the sea's prey and the sun's heat. Icarus did not heed his father. He flew up and up until the sun melted the wax of his wings. For not heeding the middle course, he fell into the sea and drowned.
Finally, we come to happiness or eudaimonia.
What makes us really happy? The mean. True happiness is the result of good conduct which arises from habits that are acquired by repeated action and correction of those habits. Ethics becomes habituated as an everyday discipline. According to Aristotle, the virtuous habit of action is always an intermediate state between the opposed phases of excess and efficiency. Too much and too little are always wrong. The right kind of action always lies in the mean, and the courageous person has the balance.
As the ultimate virtue, for Aristotle, happiness is not a fleeting emotion. It's a lifelong activity of living in accordance with virtue. It includes moral virtues like courage and justice, as well as intellectual virtues like wisdom. True happiness comes not from pleasure, wealth, or honor, but from fulfilling our function while living virtuously and rationally. Example, a person who helps others learn throughout life and maintains healthy relationships is more likely to achieve eudaimonia than someone who simply seeks wealth or fame. To sum it all up, Aristotle's virtue ethics teaches us that to live well, we must aim at our purpose, eudaimonia, by cultivating good habits, acting with practical wisdom, and living a life of balance and reason. Thank you for watching, and we hope this inspires you to reflect on your own habits and goals in life.